Hey, I'd like to apologize. We had some technical interruptions from the full moon, sending spatial anomalies down that touched the water in our bodies that made us vibrate higher. That just blew Google up. So sorry, can't help you. Um, this show is going to be in two parts. One, Donna dropping off, the co-host clearly in control, and then two, I started to ask Steve a question, which he's going to run with again. So, Steve, back to you. The question was, what water source do you use? What do you do to the water, and how do you make chocolate with it?
All right. Thanks, Peter. Well, the water source I use for my own personal body, since I'm drinking it right now, is a great spring source up on top of Mount Tamalpais, which is near where I live. And I always store water in glass because it's kind of the proper way, since there are a lot of sort of xenoestrogens and stuff in plastics that can wreak havoc on the human hormone system. So I always advise people to, of course, drink water out of glass, store it in glass.
So, can I just interrupt you for a second? So, if I drink out of a plastic bottle, this means I'm going to get man boobs because my
Basically, yeah, yeah, actually, yeah,
really?
yeah, it's yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
There's a ton of xenoestrogens in plastic that are constantly outgassing into the water. So it's actually a serious problem.
Is there a is there a manufacturer out there that sells bottled water in bottles instead of plastic?
In glass. Yeah, there's several. I mean, you have to seek it out. It's not in Safeway or, I mean, not to point out Safeway, but just huge supermarket chains. Typically, I mean, sometimes you can find it, but yeah. I mean, this actually is this bottle came from Mountain Valley Spring Water. I bought this in my local health food store actually, but I think this company is actually out of Arkansas, so they distribute nationwide. Um, so yeah, if you seek it, you can find it.
That's cool. I did not know that. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. And this, I always put my glass bottle. I have very, very powerful rare earth magnets. I keep in my refrigerator, so I always store these bottles. You have to know which side of the magnet to put them on, but I always store these on top of those magnets to charge it further magnetically. As we know, I mean, actually, water, like Chandini said, is one of the most magnetic substances that we know of. In fact, alchemically, water was always the symbol for magnetism, and it's actually, that's part of the creation story of in the Bible is all about water and where water shows up in the creation of the universe, and it's a metaphor. What they're talking about is primal magnetism, and where in what stage of the game does primal magnetism start causing creation, causing vortexes to start being created and causing creation to unfold. So the creation story in the Bible actually is actually a lot of it has to do with magnetism, primal magnetism, and the metaphor used was water, which is really interesting. But there isn't actually any water used in the creation of chocolate. I mean, from bean to bar at least. There's we have put water in the form of wine or gold ormus water into our chocolate, but traditional chocolate you don't use water, except of course the water that is used to grow the trees, the cacao tree. That water just comes from nature typically. So, but the whole key here is it's not just water that's affected by love and intention. It's it's all of reality. It's all of creation is. And so basically, if you go down to a deeper level of understanding, a quantum physics level, you get down to the absolute indivisible particle known as the adamantine particle. Our current theoretical physicists call it the Higgs boson, or just the Higgs particle, euphemistically known as the God particle. And the Hadron Super Collider recently discovered it. Actually, years and years of work on all that, and they still haven't confirmed that they have isolated the Higgs boson. But an experiment that took place about 5 years ago or so appears that it did, and so they're analyzing the data now. It's going to take years to actually confirm that that particle is known, and that particle is what makes up everything. Electrons, subatomic particles, electrons, leptons, quarks, whatever. That's all made up of one particle. So Peter, you and I are made up of only one particle. Literally, if you get down all the way down to it, you and I are just an assemblage of one single type of particle, and that particle is just rearranged differently according to our love. So a lot of those particles are configured by love for the duration. In other words, they're already tied up in the form of like the periodic chart of elements and molecules. But a lot of those particles are not. They're free-flowing. And those particles are known also as, say, chi or prana. And there's an infinite supply of those particles. They're constantly precipitating in and out of the unified field matrix, or what I like to call the one spirit. So basically, there's an infinite supply of these free-flowing adamantine particles, or Higgs bosons, and love commands them. Love actually directs them into whatever course they need to take. So when you're using love or intention to, through your software to charge your water, or through the Sacred Heart to charge my chocolate, it's the exact same mechanism that's taking place. It's just in a different format. So that's really the crux of the whole matter, is using love to direct particles into configurations so that it helps us, it serves us.
So Steve, you talked about an experience you had 16 years ago, and it's interesting because mine happened about 11 years ago, where I was very schooled in the mechanics of engineering to do with computers my whole life. I've been a consumer of everything electronic, and you seem to be very much up that same path. And then you've managed to combine, what your conditioning would dictate, which is your schooling, with this kind of a experience, if you will, you had 16 years ago. Can you kind of tell us about that a little bit?
Well, I think like I mentioned, I've always been sort of a seeker of truth, and I think just my own path of getting into raw foods and fasting, I think that just caused within me kind of a spiritual awakening, a physical opening, if you will. Probably quite frankly, because I got into basically a plant-based diet, which is and it was a very high water content plant-based diet. So basically, the Sacred Heart, which is within all of us, it's that 0 point within, the seat of the soul, the point through which your soul comes into your body and exits at death. It's basically that point where we're all connected to God, the divine, and it's our unique infinity point. And basically that unique infinity point is rooted in primal magnetism. Primal magnetism is different from electromagnetism. Electromagnetism is in the conservational field of energy, and so it's actually finite in nature. The entire electromagnetic grid of creation is finite. It's actually derived of structure. But primal magnetism is kind of the link between that and also outside the structure. So in other words, it's the link, it's actually the physical link between love itself and electromagnetism. So in other words, primal magnetism operates through the Sacred Heart and is converted into electromagnetism to create your life force in your physical body. So the more that you focus in on your Sacred Heart and open that up like a rose petal, like a rose kind of opening up its petals, and it's a practice. It's a yoga, basically. It's the ultimate yoga. The more you do that, the more you have access to that love, which is the primal magnetism, and the more you have life force energy. So the more that primal magnetism is converted into electromagnetism, which is converted into all the chemical interactions in your body. So basically, that's what happened with me is I was consuming more and more water that had very high life force. In other words, it's biologically active water. It's water in plants. Water with very high zeta potential, water with very high ormus minerals. It was opening my Sacred Heart more and more and more, and I think that's why a lot of religions and sages throughout history on this planet have always kind of said, hey, they promoted a vegetarian diet at times because they know that that kind of diet tends to have that spiritual effect on humanity. It supports the primal magnetism of the Sacred Heart. So what happens is the more water you consume, especially sacred water, the more it opens up your spiritual heart within. And so basically that's what happened to me. And so of course I came from an engineering background, and initially I kind of grew up in a secular background as far as my home life was as a kid. And then as I got into more and more science and I learned about cause and effect, I kind of became more and more agnostic. But then as I kind of came through this, especially through the 1990s, through this whole sort of fasting, cleansing period of my life, I started to experience internally more of a presence of God, a super awareness and stuff like that. And so I had to reconcile that with my own scientific background. And the more I studied physics and quantum physics and the highest level physicists, they basically, you can see a convergence. It's actually, if you get into this more and more, it's synonymous. Spirituality and science are completely synonymous. They're just using two different terms to describe the exact same thing. So the more you dive into it, the more there is absolutely, it's obvious that there's no reconciliation even needed at this point. But a lot of people aren't willing to dive that deep into it, into both themselves and into the scientific literature simultaneously.
So, as you grew spiritually over the last 9 years, have you done anything to the formula that you put in Sacred Chocolate to raise the vibration, or is that just coming straight out of you?
No, that's just coming straight out of me. I mean, basically, Sacred Chocolate, like I said, is an outgrowth of my own spiritual path because, it's a combination of all kinds of things. It's my own spiritual path and wanting to birth something from my own Sacred Heart that I knew was going to help humanity on a lot of different levels. So, basically I was since I loved raw foods, I became very good friends with my business partner in Sacred Chocolate, David Wolf, who's a world-renowned author, lecturer. He's on TV. He puts on huge conferences on wellness and longevity. And basically, because we became friends in the mid-90s, he and I always stayed in touch on the subject of Ormus minerals, on the subject of raw foods. And then finally, he discovered that raw cacao could be eaten in its raw state. In other words, there's no real reason to cook or process that cacao seed. It's a seed. It's actually botanically a nut. It's the most widely eaten nut in the world that nobody actually eats. And it's interesting because he, being such a huge promoter of health and wellness and raw foods and the raw food lifestyle, immediately saw that the whole world needs to understand that raw cacao is a superfood par excellence. It's probably the most nutrient-dense food. Historically, it was a sacred food. It was a revered food. And it vibrationally, that Mesoamericans knew, they somehow knew that it was the best for the heart, the physical heart, and the circulatory system. Their word, I think it's cacalotl or whatever it was. I don't know if it was an Aztec word or which people originally had that word, but that literally translates to heart blood. So they knew that that there were dopamine compounds in there that actually make the blood more slippery in the veins. They knew that the theobromine in that cacao, which is a very rare substance, it only shows up in 19 plants known on the face of the planet, that theobromine is a vasodilator. They knew all this stuff, so they knew that cacao is a very, very special food. The Aztecs, of course, used the cacao bean as actually their money, their currency. It was exchanged at weddings. It's in the medicine bag of all shamans in Central and South America. So cacao was this sacred food, and basically, David and I were almost sort of commissioned by the cacao god to rebirth this cacao phenomenon, that it's not really this candy, it's not really something to be eaten with guilt, it's something to be eaten with incredible reverence, and it's actually ultimately the ultimate most sacred food on the planet. And so basically all these factors kind of came into place, and it made sense to me being a minister of the Sacred Heart, and raw cacao being so good for the heart, my friendship with David Wolfe, the fact that he wrote the Bible on raw chocolate called Naked Chocolate, all these factors kind of came to play all together, and it was like, it was an epiphany for me. It's like, wow, it's time for me now to exit the computer industry, which I was in for several years after my engineering career, and go into the manufacture of raw chocolate and make the most incredible raw, finely tempered gourmet chocolate, but infused with all the herbology that David was in love with, infused with all the love that that I'm into, and of course created into a sacred geometric shape. And so I spent a year on the mathematical design of the actual heart shape of the bar. That bar is actually all built out of perfect golden spirals and all perfect ellipses. Every cross section of that bar is either a perfect ellipse or a perfect golden spiral, which is a logarithmic spiral growing at the rate of phi. So, there were a lot of factors that came in, and basically Sacred Chocolate became a calling card for humanity to basically wake up that it's time to live in the heart. It's time to live in the heart. We live in a mind-dominated society, and you can see the conflict, the raging conflict on this planet between the mind and the Sacred Heart. What's going on everywhere on this planet is basically an outgrowth of the ongoing conflict between the mind and the heart. And so, basically, as we finally wake up as humans and allow the heart to be the willing, or the mind, our powerful minds and the ego associated with our minds to actually become the willing servant of the Sacred Heart, a lot is going to shift. And when that happens in mass, it's going to be an incredible time to be on this planet. I think we're approaching it soon.
Wow, thank you for that. So 9 years ago when you created your first piece of chocolate, and so what's coming off the assembly line today, percentage-wise, how much more does the stuff today vibrate than the first one that you created? I mean, 9 years is a long time to continue pushing that envelope.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the mind always goes to measurement, and it's really not about that. I mean, the love is the same. The love is no different 9 years ago than it is today.
Wow.
Wow.
That's powerful.
That's a pretty deep thought.
It's very deep. Steve, I'm in awe listening to you talk about this, and your journey, of course, and the whole love, and Peter, and kind of where you both are kind of doing the same thing, or infusing goodness into chocolate and water. It blows me away.
Yay!
I know, we were getting really like in depth there for a second. It's time to break it up a little bit. Chandini, what's going on over there? You're quiet. Hello.
Make sure you unmute your mic.
You have to unmute your mic.
Yeah. Well, I was listening.
Is your head spinning?
Yeah, always when he's talking.
So, tell us a little bit about your experience working with Stephen on this.
With him. Well,
Oh, just a FYI, Steve, your name is Sacred Steve now, if on your little toolbar there.
AKA Sacred Steve. That's my nickname from
Cool.
being into this for a while.
And just for everyone, you forgot the D on the www.sacredchocolate.com.
Oh, okay. Let me.
I'm sorry, I'm half Swiss. I'm really anal about perfection.
A little bit.
Thanks for noticing that.
No problem. So, Chandini, back to you. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement and what you're doing with Steve?
Yeah, well, actually, how the whole thing started was my question if Sacred Chocolate is available in Europe or, well, especially in Germany, and it wasn't. So I had the idea of bringing it to Germany, and yes, that's what we did. And so Steve finally came to Germany, and he brought Sacred Chocolate with him. And well, what's my part in this? I am responsible for the PR, the media, and yes, creating a sort of awareness about the sacredness, because it's not really some chocolate like you can buy in any shop. It's totally different. It's nothing that you can compare to other chocolates, and to make people understand what is the difference, that is my job. Yes, I am doing that via social media, and I am creating the contacts in Europe, especially in Germany, to yes, to launch Sacred Chocolate here on the market. And well, what we did was there was a lecture that we did here at Lake Constance, and Steve is a brilliant speaker, so people were so touched, and they wanted more, but we didn't have so much time, and so I want to encourage him to continue with his lectures, because he can explain things so well, and he can create a bridge between science and, I would say, religion or spirituality, because, as he said, it's the same. And yeah, I like that. I like that approach, and it's exactly what is my approach and what I did with Emoto. It's just a sort of continuation of the work that I did before. And yes, I think he made the right choice to produce chocolate, and it will be very successful, because it's not just a product, it's a real philosophy behind, and it makes sense, it works. It's not just, you know, promising something, oh, it's so nice, it's good quality, because everybody can do that, but there is no other sacred chocolate. There is no other chocolate charged with love, and he can even explain it, how he does it. And so, well, I love talking about sacred chocolate, and more people are getting interested and really fascinated by this product. And so, yeah, I'm happy to work with him and spread the message of the Sacred Heart, and share the love. Let's, via chocolate or water, whatever, or aquaware. It's all the same goal.
So just quickly, the first time you ate some sacred chocolate, what did it do to you?
Oh, that was an interesting experience, because I got the parcel late in the afternoon. I didn't really have time. I opened it very fast, and I saw all the beautiful chocolate, different colors, and I thought, oh my God. And so I waited until everybody was in bed, and then I took out one chocolate, and I think it was reverse bar. It's not amongst the flavors that we have for Europe, but there was one of these bars, and it looked so nice to me, and so I chose it, and I really ate it completely. So and that was at 7. And about 2 hours later, I was so full of energy, and before I was so tired, and I couldn't sleep the whole night. I cleaned the whole house, and I wrote some texts, and it really made me crazy. Like, oh my God, I need to get up at 6. It was already 3, and then it was 4, and so I stayed up the whole night. And well, I don't drink coffee, and so maybe I don't drink any alcohol, and so maybe it had such a huge influence on my body system that just, you know, I was just on drugs, like, kind of. So yeah, it motivated to know more about it, because, yeah, obviously it worked. It really worked better than coffee, or I don't know what substance you need to take to feel so good and be happy all night long.
You live in Germany, not experience Oktoberfest.
I have never been there.
We're going to move right along. I wanted to do something kind of cool. So, as a lot of people know, I've been upgrading the whole product line with the Aquaware Core engine, and I want to kind of show people where the source for is going. It's going to probably be available within the next month. It's very primordial right now, but I'm going to share my screen and kind of show you where we're at and where it's going. to really kind of get people psyched up. And then we're going to do a water activation using it here. So let me just share my screen quickly. Okay, can everyone see that?
No.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's
yes.
good? Okay, so Source 3 is this guy here. Okay, this is a program for consciously manifesting things that you want in your life. This has been on the market about a little over a year now, and basically it utilizes what I call 9 symbols of creation. Where you put your attention, the intention would go. So when people want to consciously manifest things in their life, they have the thought form in their head, they put it out, Source picks it up, and then the time by which that thought form is released from your head and it actually comes into fruition or manifestation is what we call the path, the PATH. And a lot of times people can't consciously manifest anything because they have doubt or worry along the path, and thought form gets destroyed and they have to start over, or they're looking to manifest something that's just too large for them to do. So the Source 3 is a tool that kind of takes all the work out of it, and the only thing that's required of the user is where you put your attention, the intention goes, right? And any thought forms negative that you may have are absolutely unaffected, because what happens is once you nucleate that water and you drink it, Source creates light paths, L-I-G-H-T, along the path, and those are the supporting factors to rewrite your future, if you will, a little bit, to bring the manifestation into fruition. So this is the current level of technologies that's out there. Okay, this guy over here is the Source 4. All right, it's still in beta. There's a lot of stuff not working on it, but this guy over here is the beta version of it. I call this blueprinting. Okay, the finished product is going to be absolutely stunning, but I just kind of want to show you what you're going to have the ability to do. Like Aquaware 4 from 3.1, I needed the ability to move this technology way beyond where it is. So with the Source 3, people typically have manifestation within 72 hours up to 2 weeks. With the recoding of the Source 4, we're going to push this below 24 hours. And how we're going to accomplish that is, again, you're looking at all the old symbology here. The new symbols have been redone, and they're absolutely stunning. But the idea is the program comes up in a particular geometric form, okay? And as the user, you'll have the ability to move the form or the symbols around on the screen and create the geometry that works best for you before you nucleate the water, kind of like manual mode in Aquaware, where you put dots on the screen that really kind of resonate with you. Here you would be able to save it. You can pull up other geometric shapes that you've created, and then of course clicking on the water drop it, and at that point it would go through. Now this particular version does have the new engine in it, although it's just not pretty. So I'd like everyone to get out a glass of water quickly. I'd like everyone to kind of think about something they want to manifest in their lives in the next 24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah, we're really pushing the envelope with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and again, I'm just kind of playing with the shapes on the screen so you can kind of get an indication of what might work best for you. And again, a lot of this is if you're intuitive and you can channel, you just know where best things might go as you start playing with it. Okay, so again, everyone get a glass of water, get in their head something that they want to manifest, and for the first time ever, from my tinkering, you're going to see what beta looks like, and I know it's kind of out there, but let me show you quickly while you're getting ready. I just want to show you what some of the new symbology looks like. that'll actually be painting these screen forms that you're seeing. So these here are the same symbols. They've just been redone and infused with a much higher vibe. Now these aren't completed yet. I still have a lot of work I have to do with them, but you can feel the vibrational difference between these and what was in, you know, these guys here in the original. And again, this is all part of what happens. Now you'll have the option here to change the symbols, meaning you can flip them back and forth between the blue or the black, whatever resonates better with you, and we have some other cool features coming with it. Okay, so again, everyone's got their water ready. Where you put your attention, the intention goes. This is about manifesting. We're all going to try out the Source 4 engine. Generally, you know, again, it's beta code. We're going to tighten it up a little bit more. We're looking for manifestations within 24 hours. So I will count backwards, 3, 2, 1. When I get to 1, the only thing that is required of the user is where your attention goes, the intention will go. You drink the water raises the vibration, Source comes by, grabs that vibration, and creates the path by which the manifestation will come into fruition. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Where your attention goes, the intention goes. That's it. Everyone drink up.
Cheers.
I'm the only one with a plastic bottle.
I know.
My intention was not to grow man boobs from plastic.
Too late.
Too late. Thanks you.
I'm sure you'll find an intent to reverse it.
I've got plenty of them.
Yeah. Luckily, it's easy to reverse.
All right. This has been a wild show. Even though we had some technical issues in the beginning, it definitely came back out. Donna, do we have any questions from the audience?
You know, no, we don't. But you know what? What I find with our audience is that they come back afterwards. I think after watching the show and soaking it all in, they come back with questions.
Yeah, like the last time.
Yes, I mean, because today is such a powerful show. I mean, with Sacred Steve talking about the physics of putting love into chocolate, and of course, you know what you do on a weekly basis, the intentions and using software. You know, I think people kind of need to do some digesting, but that's just me. And then they have questions that they ask on YouTube afterwards. It's like,
you mean the ones I forget all the time?
well, you know, and the sad thing about it is, like, folks, we're here live now. You know, just chat with us now and get your question, you know, on the air now. I'll do a refresh in YouTube and see if anyone has a question. I was in Facebook on everyone's pages, kind of just poking around see if anybody had questions and things like that. So while you guys talk amongst yourselves and about things, I will go back and check for questions.
So, Steve, I thought your story was really cool, and I can resonate with it because it's very much on par with what my wake-up experience was. But you know, I didn't do the diet part of it. You know, I was a McDonald's type person for a very long time. But my wake-up experience was instant, and it took me you know, a good year to kind of move into that whole love and gratitude part of it. If anything, my ego got much bigger after my wake-up experience because I was able to do things that I couldn't explain, but yet I was getting results at the same time. So do you know anybody else personally that's kind of had or come from that, you know, conditioned engineering background into or and just really walked away from a computer job or whatever their industry was and started creating products to really raise the vibration of everything?
Oh gosh, I think I come into contact with these types of people like ourselves all the time, actually. I don't tend to make a mental note of all the people unnecessarily. But I did. I mean, here's a couple examples. Like I went to David. I mean, seriously, I come in deep. I think the whole world is waking up at light speed. Quite frankly, people are. I mean, this isn't unusual at all. This is a common occurrence. I mean, this last weekend I was at the big longevity conference that David puts on. My partner David Wolf puts on once a year down in LA. And there are some great speakers. I mean, there was Rich Roll, who's one of the fittest men on the planet, and he told about his wake-up story. About he was a big attorney, and in his late 30s was on the verge of a heart attack, and then just all of a sudden, I think through inspiration of his wife, he kind of decided to clean up his diet, and he just started running, and he just didn't stop running, But listening to his story was just amazing. There was Lissa Rankin on the stage. She was a OBGYN doctor. She wrote Mind Over Medicine. She wrote now The Fear Cure. Her stories about how she left being a traditional doctor to share the message of love and write these books around the world and lecture. I mean, that was an amazing story. There was this guy who was what's the guy's Dave Osprey. He was a Silicon Valley investor, big, actually a computer software hacker. This guy, I think, was literally hired as a computer hacker, and he's a big entrepreneur, Silicon Valley investor, and he's kind of hacked his own biology, and he's got what's his company called? Bulletproof. His company's called Bulletproof. It's an amazing story, and what he's all the science of taking humans to human 2.0, if you will. So there's so many people out there that are just constantly waking up at light speed, creating awesome new tools, getting out their message. It's phenomenal, and it's increasing at an exponential level. I mean, now compared to even 10 years ago, it's every time you look around, you see somebody else waking up.
Yeah, I'm amazed at the amount of people that come to me, not really understanding why they're coming to me, just wanting to connect, and they're in the midst of some type of mind-blowing wake-up experience where they're like, what do I do? There's a lot of questions for these people that are waking up too, and to them it's very scary because they're actually seeing the world for the first time as it really is. They've moved past that 0 point, if you will, into the loving world, and they've let go. And I always try to explain to them, for the real learning to begin, you have to unlearn everything you've ever learned, and that's exploration of self and some other stuff. So we're just about out of time here, but Steve, this has been a mind-blowing experience. I really want to thank you. That was a very, very cool story you told, man.
Hey, I'm glad you liked it, Peter. Yeah, mind-blowing and heart-opening, hopefully. So absolutely, thanks for having me on the show. It's a real honor, and I really really feel grateful to share this space with you, and I think what you're doing is completely awesome, and yeah, I mean, we all have something to contribute, so thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Chandini, of course, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for enlightening us again. You have your... Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, and of course...
that sentence that I told you last time about the wish of Dr. Emoto to have his work continued. Well, he was the, I don't want to say apostle of programming water, because Dr. Lawrenson did it before him, but Dr. Lawrenson did it just kind of hidden in a laboratory, and Emoto brought it to the world, so he was a messenger. And he created his own work out of the work of Dr. Lawrenson, and his wish was that more and more people would just pick up that idea of connecting to the source that is love, and use their insights and that energy that they get from the source in their jobs, their families, in their life. And because he said the more people are connected to the source, the more people are connected with each other through the water. Because all water is communicating, and the more people are conscious about this communication, the more they feel the oneness. Because one thing is that water is communicating, but if you're not aware of it, it's like you didn't turn on the TV, so you can't watch a show. And I think the most important thing is to work on the consciousness and the understanding of all this, if it's from a scientific point or from a spiritual point, because people, they are at different levels of evolution, and so many people have a different approach, but in the end, everybody understands it. If it's just feeling it, perceiving it, or really understanding it in your mind, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel it, and as long as you feel the connection to your heart and to the source, it will always feed you, it will nourish you, and you will feel the connection with all beings, not only with other people, but as well with animals, plants, and the whole planet. And then this will stop that, the enslavement and exploitation of people and things and animals and plants, and just consuming things. That will stop, because then you will feel, hey, this is a part of me, I am a part of it. So I have to treat it with respect and love, and that's the only way, that's the way out of this misery, to connect to the source and really spread this energy of love. Whatever you do in your life, just do it.
Treat your water like a lover, right?
Treat your water like a lover. Absolutely. And let me ask Steve a quick question, because, and I might have missed this with all the technical difficulties. And by the way, Peter, your father wants to know, is there an intention for snafus? So yeah, we might have to work on that.
I keep telling them, you can write your own. That was the whole point.
Well, I better write them.
Create your own intention.
No technical difficulty intention. It's got to exist. But Steve, Sacred Steve, I was wondering, when you wake up in the mornings, what is your ritual? What do you do going throughout your day?
Well, I don't have a particular ritual. I do, in the mornings, I'm kind of get up and go. But my people always kind of wonder, like, what's your spiritual practice or whatever. Right. Yeah. So mine really is Sacred Heart meditations, and I usually do those in the evening. It just seems like I tend to just get more, focused in on my own Sacred Heart more and more throughout the evening. And then also, I try and take at least one day out of the week and really kind of honor the Sabbath, and just like, put everything on hold and just kind of reconnect with myself and nature and, all of humanity. So, yeah, so basically in the mornings I'm kind of, get up, go, eat my grapefruits, out the door, start focusing on all the tasks I need to get done that day. And like I said, I mean, the evening times are times where I can, sort of focus in on my own spiritual path. So hopefully that helps.
Right on, right on. Hey, can I get everyone to do this? Do the little heart thingy. And there we go. Look at that. Look how much love we're sending out, folks. Wait, does mine look like a heart? Yeah. Oops. Oh. Okay, wait a minute. That is awesome. And okay, I'm going to ask one more time, because I want everyone to do a picture, and we can do our little heart thingy before we hang up. It has to be done before we hang up. I'm sorry. So who wants to go first? Chandini? Okay. Put your heart up, baby girl. Put that heart up. Show your love. I love it. I love it. Don't move. A little bit higher. Perfect. Don't move. I got to put my little camera up. Don't move. Okay, you guys, it's just the little things that make me happy. Peter, can I get some heart, some love from you? Give us some love, Peter. Show us some love. Okay, don't move. Steve, you're next. A little bit higher, because we see it on the a little bit higher, Steve. There you go.
Bingo. Don't move.
Don't move. Okay. Now, I guess what? I can't do one.
Just draw yours.
I can't do one and take a picture at the same time.
Well, who's going to take a picture of you?
Peter, can you take my picture?
Yeah, I got it. Go ahead. Ready?
I'm a little special here.
All right, we gotta do another one. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Awesome. That's a good one. Guys, thank you very much. That was awesome. And Donna, thanks for getting us through those technical difficulties, full moon or otherwise related.
Absolutely. We're sending out love to everyone, and everyone, we want to thank you. I'm going to get everybody to just hold on. Nobody hang up. But we are going to end the show tonight, and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Please watch the replay and pass it on. Lots of love in this broadcast in 2 parts, but that's okay. The love is still there, no matter how many parts it is. It's still there. I hope you guys got a lot of information. Please check out Sacred Chocolate, www.sacredchocolate.com, and of course, moderndayMystic.com. Go there, check out both websites, get to know us. We're going to be around and doing some amazing things. So thanks, everyone who have watched the show. Good night, everyone. Okay,